Hey, how's it going, guys? This is your boy Hazzed, and today I'm going to be talking about the new build that just came out today on Legion Beta. Basically, Frosty Case, I'd say, got nerfed a bit, and looks like Unholy got a little bit of buff, a little bit of nerf here and there, so we're going to go ahead and jump into these guys, and let's just talk about them. Let's quickly jump through these. Right off the bat, we see Frost Strike receives a 15% nerf. Pillar of Frost went from requiring level 60 to 57. Avalanche was nerfed 25% damage from 75 to 50%. Breath of Sindragoza was buffed 10% damage from 140 to 150%. Freezing Fog was reduced down by 5%. Hungering Rune Weapon, it looks like it doesn't really change. I don't know what's up with that one. It looks like Icy Talons is going to increase your melee attack speed down from 12 to 10%. The last thing it looks like they nerfed is Shattering Strikes, which basically takes down Frost Strike damage down by another 10%, making a total Frost Strike nerf of 25% damage. These right here are artifact traits. Basically, it looks like they increased Runeforge damage by base 5%, which amplifies it up to 30% more from 60%. So that's going to hit quite a bit harder. So excited for that. Blades of Frost increased attack speed by 12% instead of 8%. So that's a little bit of a bust. And Cold as Ice nerfed down to all frost damage deal by 3% to 1%. Now that's going to be a major nerf because at level 6, that's 20% down to 6%. That is actually like a gigantic nerf for our frost damage. Looking at Hypothermia, each time Frost Fear deals damage, it has a chance to erupt, dealing 500% down to 300%. So that's like a 200% nerf on that damaging ability. So that's going to be quite a bit of AoE. And it seems we got a nerf here to increase critical strike damage done by Obliterate and Frost Scythe, which is down 4%. Now, it was up to 50% maximum, and it's, or 60% maximum, something like that, but it's down to like 40% or like 34%, which is pretty low for that ability. Definitely looks like Unholy has some pretty hefty buffs on the way. Festering Strike deals 500 physical damage and affects targets for 2 festering wounds. The pustulations will now burst when damaged by Scourge Strike, dealing 100% of attack power instead of 90%. So that's a 10% buff right there. Next step is Festering Wound, which is basically the dot you put on your targets. Basically, it's up 10%, just like Festering Strike, from 90% attack power to 100% attack power and shadow damage. Here comes the first slight nerf to Unholy. It increases shadow damage by 20%, now down to 18%. Now, Outbreak has also been amplified, the disease damage of that AoE from 85% to 100%, causing that AoE pressure because of Festering Wound and Outbreak buff to be even more AoE than it was before. Jumping down to the artifact traits, this is where it kind of blew my mind. Apocalypse, increased damage, or it's a strike an enemy dealing 400% damage, now up to 900%. They over doubled the damage of Apocalypse. That's going to make that hit so hard. They also increased the damage done, it looks like, by Death Coil by 2% base, which stacks up to 12% at rank 6. And they have amplified the damage of Feast of Souls, which increases shadow damage done by 8% to 10%, so it kind of counteracts that Mystery of Deadblade nerf, I'd have to say. And we got Plague Bear, which increases the damage dealt by the Virant Plague by 5% to 7%, maximum up by 12%. Portal to the Underworld. Army of Dead Ghouls explode when they die, dealing 15% up to 120%. That is an enormous buff. Shadow damage to all nearby enemies. Kaboom! Rotten Touch. Increased damage dealt by Festering Strike by 5 to 7%. That's also going to be buffed up at maximum level, I'd say 12% from 30 to 42%. Getting down to the bottom of this list, we got Scourge of the Worlds. Death Coil has chance to increase your Scourge Strike against the target by 50% down to 30% for 50 seconds. So that was one of the nerfs that definitely came towards Unholy with a lot of this raw damage buffs. Next is going to be the Darkest Crusade. Increases the effect of Fallen Crusader Runeforge by 7% up to 10%. And at maximum, it's going to be from 42% up to 60%. So that's a bit of a buff. Now, Shambler, your attacks have a chance to summon a super zombie that shambles forward and explodes, dealing 300% up to 400% damage to all nearby enemies, definitely making that quite a buff to some AoE pressure. The last change we're going to be discussing is a change to Death Strike, and it says it's only Blood Unholy. I hope this is for Frost also, but it looks like they're buffing the Death Strike healing by 3% maximum frost damage, and I mean, that's not bad. 3% is 3%. I'll take it. I'll take it where we can get it, because as it is, it's not too amazing, but it still works. That's going to be it for this video, guys. I'd say all in all, Frosty K got a nerf when it comes to AoE pressure. It looks like we got a slight buff for single target burst, but I'd say all in all, just the fact that it reduces the frost damage percentage all around, I'd have to say that we definitely took a nerf to our damage. But until next time, guys, make sure you leave a like, and this was your boy Hazzed.